It was 7:12 p.m. on a rainy Thursday when I found the envelope. I hadn't been looking for anything, just sorting through the pile of mail on the kitchen counter, bills and junk stacked together. But this one was different. Heavy, sealed with a bank logo I didn't recognize. My wife's name printed neatly across the front. My hands trembled before I even opened it, as if my body already knew what my mind refused to believe. Inside was a statement. Numbers. Transactions. A balance that didn't make sense. Tens of thousands of dollars moved quietly, hidden from me. My chest tightened as I scanned line after line. Restaurants I'd never been to. Hotels and cities she'd never told me she visited. Transfers to accounts I didn't know existed. My wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, had a secret life written in black ink. I sat down hard at the table. The envelope spread open like a crime scene. The sound of rain against the window was deafening. My phone buzzed once, twice, 3 times. Her name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I stared at the statement, each number a knife twisting deeper. By 8:03 p.m., I was pacing the living room. My mind replayed every moment of our marriage. Her late nights at work, the unexplained trips, the sudden mood swings. Was I blind? Or did I just not want to see? The front door opened at 8:17 p.m. She walked in, shaking off her umbrella, smiling faintly like nothing was wrong. "You're still up?" she asked. Her voice was casual, almost warm. I held up the envelope. Her smile froze. "What's this?" I asked. My voice cracked. She didn't answer right away. Just stared at the paper in my hand, her face pale, her eyes darting. "It's nothing," she whispered. "Nothing." I snapped. "Hotel bills? Transfers? Thousands of dollars? You call this nothing?" Her silence was louder than any confession. I dropped the envelope on the coffee table. The papers scattered, exposing every hidden transaction. She reached for them, but I stopped her. "Don't," I said. My voice was low, shaking. "Just tell me the truth." She sat down slowly, her hands folded tight. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she murmured. My heart pounded. "Find out what?" Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look at me. "There are things you don't know. Things I couldn't tell you." The room felt suffocating. The rain outside had stopped, but inside, the storm was just beginning. Broken heart, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely, you know this feeling. And if you're here right now, I see you. Drop a broken heart below. I leaned forward, my voice breaking. "How long?" She finally looked at me. "Years," she whispered. The word hit me like a gunshot. Years. Not weeks. Not months. Years. I stood up, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the papers. "Who is he?" I demanded. Her silence was the answer. At 9:02 p.m., I walked out of the house, the envelope clutched in my hand. The night air was cold, sharp against my skin. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay. My phone buzzed again, her name flashing across the screen. I let it ring. I sat in my car for exactly 47 minutes, staring at the statement, replaying every lie, every excuse. The numbers blurred, but the truth was clear. My marriage wasn't what I thought it was. And then, at 9:49 p.m., a new message appeared. From an unknown number. Just one line. "You weren't supposed to see that." My blood ran cold. It was 10:11 p.m. when I finally forced myself back inside. The house smelled faintly of her perfume, the same one she wore on our wedding day. That detail cut deeper than the numbers on the page. I walked past her in silence, clutching the envelope like evidence in a trial. She followed me into the kitchen. "Please," she said softly, "let me explain." I slammed the papers down on the counter. "Explain what?" "That you've been living another life behind my back. That you've been hiding money, hiding him." My voice echoed off the walls, louder than I intended. Her hand shook as she reached for the statement. "It's not what you think." I laughed bitterly. "Not what I think. Hotels. Transfers. Thousands of dollars. What am I supposed to think?" She didn't answer. Instead, she sat down, her shoulders collapsing. For a moment, she looked smaller, fragile. But then her phone buzzed on the counter. A name flashed across the screen. Not mine. I grabbed it before she could. The message preview read, "Did he find out?" My stomach dropped. Her eyes widened. "Give me that," she shouted, lunging forward. I pulled back, my heart racing. "Who is this?" She froze. Silent. The phone buzzed again. Another message. "We need to move the money before he sees everything." I stared at her, disbelief turning into rage. "Move the money? How long have you been planning this?" She buried her face in her hands. "I didn't want it to happen like this," she whispered. I leaned closer, my voice low, dangerous. "Then tell me the truth. Right now. Speech balloon, I know some of you have lived through something like this. You're not alone. Tell me your story in the comments. I read every single one." She finally looked up, tears streaking her face. "It started 2 years ago. I was desperate. I thought I could fix everything before you noticed." "Fix what?" I demanded. Her silence was unbearable. I opened the envelope again, scanning the transactions. One stood out, $25,000 wired to an account overseas. I pointed at it. "Who's behind this? Who are you sending money to?" Her lips trembled. "Someone you don't know." I slammed my fist against the table. "Don't lie to me." She flinched, then whispered, "It's not just me. There are others. You wouldn't understand." The words chilled me. Others. At 10:47 p.m., I walked into the study, pulled open the drawer where I kept old files. I needed proof, something to connect the dots. My hands shook as I flipped through folders. And then I found it. An old letter tucked inside a legal envelope. Same handwriting as the text message. I stared at the signature. My blood ran cold. It wasn't just her. It was someone I thought I could trust. The silence in the house was unbearable. She sat in the kitchen, her face buried in her hands. I stood in the study, holding the letter, the phone, and the bank statement. 3 pieces of evidence. 3 betrayals. And then, at 11:02 p.m., the phone buzzed again. This time, a voice message. I pressed play. Her voice. Whispering. "He knows. We have to finish this before he talks." I froze. The betrayal wasn't just financial. It was something darker. Something that could destroy me completely. It was 12:04 a.m. when I finally walked back into the bedroom. The house was silent except for the faint hum of the heater. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, her phone clutched in her hands, staring at the floor like a child caught stealing. I held up the bank statement. "We're not sleeping until you tell me everything." Her eyes flicked up, red and swollen. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Then make me understand," I snapped. My voice was sharp, but underneath it was desperation. I wanted answers. I wanted something that made sense. She hesitated, then unlocked her phone. "There's another account," she said quietly. "Not just this one. I didn't mean for you to find it." I felt my stomach twist. "Show me." She scrolled quickly, her fingers trembling. And then she handed me the phone. Another bank app. Another balance. Larger. Hidden. I stared at the numbers glowing on the screen. 2 accounts? Offshore transfers? Who are you working with? Her silence was unbearable. At 12:17 a.m., I pressed her harder. "Is it him? The one texting you? The one you've been sending money to?" She shook her head violently. "It's not like that. It's bigger than that." I leaned closer. "Bigger how?" Her lips trembled. "If I tell you, you'll leave me." I laughed bitterly. "You think I'm staying now?" She flinched, then whispered, "It's not just money. It's evidence. Things I've been hiding for us." My chest tightened. Evidence of what? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached in the nightstand drawer and pulled out a second phone. One I'd never seen before. Black case. No scratches. Clean. I froze. "Whose phone is that?" She held it out, her hands shaking. "It's mine, but it's not the one you know." I snatched it from her, my pulse racing. The screen lit up with dozens of unread messages. Names I didn't recognize. Conversations about transfers, meetings, and something darker. Phrases like cover story, keep him quiet, and December 3rd deadline. My blood ran cold. At 12:29 a.m., I scrolled through the messages, my hands trembling. One thread stood out. A name I knew. Someone close. Someone I trusted. I looked at her, my voice breaking. You've been lying to me for years, and you're not alone in this. She burst into tears. I wanted to protect you. I swear I did. I slammed the phone down on the dresser. Protect me? By hiding money? By hiding this? Her sobs filled the room, but I couldn't feel sympathy. Not anymore. At 12:41 a.m., I sat on the floor, the hidden phone glowing beside me. My mind raced. Every message was a puzzle piece, every transaction a clue. And then I saw it, an audio file saved in the phone. I pressed play. Her voice, whispering, "He can't know. Not until December 3rd. That's what happens." The room spun. December 3rd. A date. A deadline. I looked at her, my heart pounding. What happens on December 3rd? She didn't answer. And in that silence, I realized the truth. Whatever she was hiding wasn't just betrayal. It was a plan that involved me. It was 9:14 a.m. the next morning when I walked into the lawyer's office. I hadn't slept. My eyes burned, my head throbbed, and the envelope with the bank statement felt heavier than ever in my hand. The office smelled of stale coffee and polished wood. My lawyer, Daniel, looked up from his desk, surprised to see me so early. "You look like hell," he said bluntly. I dropped the papers in front of him. "Read this. Tell me what it means." He adjusted his glasses, scanning the transactions. His brow furrowed deeper with every line. "These aren't just personal expenses," he muttered. "This looks coordinated." My stomach twisted. Coordinated with who? Daniel leaned back, tapping the paper. "Offshore accounts. Transfers disguised as consulting fees. Someone's building a case. And if your wife's name is on these, she's not just hiding money. She's preparing for something bigger." I felt the air leave my lungs. Preparing for what? He looked me dead in the eye. Divorce. And not just any divorce. She's setting you up to lose everything. The words hit me like a hammer. Lose everything. At 9:27 a.m., Daniel pulled another file from his drawer. I've seen this pattern before. It's classic asset concealment. She's moving money out of reach, so when she files, you'll look broke. Judges don't care about suspicion. They care about evidence. And right now, she's got the upper hand. I gripped the edge of the desk, my knuckles white. She's been planning this for years. He nodded grimly. And if those texts you showed me are real, she's not working alone. Someone's advising her. Someone who knows the law. My chest tightened. "Ooh." Daniel hesitated, then slid the papers back toward me. "I can't say for sure, but one of the names in those messages. I recognize it. He's a colleague, a lawyer, and if he's involved, you're in deeper trouble than you realize." The room spun. My wife, my marriage, my finances, and now another lawyer, someone I trusted, was part of it. At 9:41 a.m., I stood up, my voice shaking. "What do I do?" Daniel's answer was cold, deliberate. "You fight back, but you need proof. Real proof. Without it, you're finished. Broken heart, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely, you know this feeling. And if you're here right now, I see you. Drop a broken heart below." I left the office at 10:02 a.m., the city buzzing around me, but I felt like I was underwater. Every sound was muffled, every face blurred. My phone buzzed again, another message from the unknown number. This time, it wasn't a warning. It was a threat. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." My blood ran cold. I realized then that this wasn't just about betrayal. It wasn't just about money. It was about survival. And the people I thought I could trust, the ones closest to me, were the ones pulling the strings. It was 11:23 p.m. when I finally decided to search deeper. The lawyer's words kept echoing in my head. "She's setting you up to lose everything." I couldn't sleep. My chest felt tight, my hands restless. So I went back to the study, pulled out her briefcase, the one she never let me touch. The leather was cold under my fingers. I hesitated for a moment, then unclipped the lock. Inside were neatly stacked folders, receipts, and a small black notebook. My pulse quickened as I flipped through the pages. Each entry was meticulous. Dates, amounts, account numbers. And then I saw it, an offshore bank logo printed at the top of the statement. Cayman Islands. Her name, her signature. My stomach dropped. At 11:41 p.m., I spread the documents across the desk. The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of thousands of dollars moved quietly, hidden from me. Transfers disguised as consulting fees, property investments, charitable donations. But the trail was clear. She wasn't just hiding money. She was building a fortress I couldn't touch. I whispered to myself, why? Why would she do this? The silence in the house was suffocating. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock. Every sound felt amplified, like the world was holding its breath. At 11:52 p.m., I found a USB drive tucked inside the notebook. I plugged it into my laptop, my hands trembling. Dozens of files appeared, PDFs, scanned contracts, emails. One email caught my eye. Subject line, final transfer before December 3rd. My blood ran cold. December 3rd again. The same date from the secret phone. I opened the email. It was short, direct. Once the final transfer clears, he won't have a leg to stand on. Make sure he doesn't see the statements. I leaned back, my heart pounding. That was me. At 12:07 a.m., I confronted her. She was sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the TV. I dropped the briefcase in front of her. The papers spilled out like evidence in a trial. Her face went pale. You weren't supposed to find that, she whispered. I stepped closer, my voice shaking. Offshore accounts? Emails about destroying me? Who are you working with? She buried her face in her hands. I didn't want it to be like this. Like what? I shouted. Like you stealing everything we built? Like you planning to ruin me? Her silence was unbearable. At 12:19 a.m., she finally spoke. It's not just me. There's someone else. Someone powerful. If I don't do this, we both lose. Her words cut deeper than any number on a page. We both lose. I stared at her, disbelief turning into rage. You think I'll let you destroy me to save yourself? She looked up, her eyes hollow. It's already too late. At 12:31 a.m., my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. Just one line. The briefcase was your last mistake. My blood ran cold. It was 1:14 a.m. when I sat alone in the study, the briefcase still open, papers scattered like broken glass across the desk. My hands shook as I picked up one particular document, a bank statement thicker than the rest, stamped with a logo I didn't recognize. The numbers were staggering, transfers in the hundreds of thousands, dates that lined up perfectly with her late-night absences. And then, at the bottom, her signature. My chest tightened. She signed this. She knew. At 1:27 a.m., I flipped through the pages, each line a dagger. Payments to shell companies. Wire transfers to accounts overseas. And then one entry that froze me completely, a deposit labeled inheritance claim. My father's estate. Money that was supposed to be protected. Somehow, she had moved it. I whispered into the silence. She stole from me. The air felt heavy, suffocating. I could hear the faint creak of the house settling, the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Every sound was amplified, every shadow darker. At 1:41 a.m., I confronted her again. She was sitting on the couch, her face pale, her eyes hollow. I dropped the statement in front of her. Explain this, I demanded. She stared at the paper, her lips trembling. I didn't want you to see that. Too late, I snapped. Inheritance claim? Offshore transfers? You signed this. You betrayed me. Her silence was unbearable. Finally, she whispered, "It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was protecting us." I laughed bitterly. Protecting us? By stealing from me? By hiding everything? Her tears fell silently, but I felt no sympathy. Not anymore. At 1:56 a.m., my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. This time it wasn't vague. It was specific. The inheritance was never yours. She knows the truth. Stop digging. My blood ran cold. I looked at her, my voice breaking. What truth? What are they talking about? She buried her face in her hands. I can't tell you. Not yet. I slammed my fist against the table. Not yet? You've been lying for years. You've stolen from me. And now you're telling me there's more. Her sobs filled the room, but I couldn't feel pity. Only rage. At 2:11 a.m., I picked up the statement again, scanning the transactions. One name stood out, a law firm I didn't recognize. Payments made regularly, large sums. I looked at her, my voice low. Who are they? She hesitated, then whispered. They're the ones helping me. The ones who know everything. The words cut deeper than any number on the page. Helping her. Against me. At 2:23 a.m., I realized the truth. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a conspiracy. And the hidden bank statement wasn't just evidence of her lies. It was proof that my entire life had been rewritten without my knowledge. I stared at her, my hands trembling. You've destroyed everything. She looked up, her eyes empty. No, I've saved us. You just don't see it yet. At 2:31 a.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a message. It was a call. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A voice whispered on the other end. You need to stop. December 3rd is already decided. The line went dead. My blood ran cold. It was 2:47 a.m. when I finally cornered her in the kitchen. The house was dark except for the dim glow of the refrigerator light spilling across the tile. My hands were shaking. The hidden bank statement still clutched like a weapon. I couldn't breathe without feeling the weight of every number, every transfer, every lie. She sat at the table, her hair messy, her face streaked with tears. For a moment, she looked fragile, almost human again. But I couldn't let myself believe that. Not after what I'd seen. I need the truth, I said, my voice low, steady. No more excuses. No more silence. Tell me everything. Her lips trembled. You already know too much. I slammed the statement down in front of her. I know you've been stealing. I know you've been hiding money. I know you've been planning something for December 3rd. What I don't know is why. And I swear to God, if you don't tell me right now, I'll walk out that door and never come back. She flinched, her eyes darting to the papers. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she whispered. Stop saying that, I snapped. You keep repeating it like it makes this better. It doesn't. You've destroyed everything we built. And for what? Her silence was unbearable. At 3:02 a.m., she finally spoke. I was desperate. I thought I could fix it before you found out. But then it got bigger. Out of control. I leaned closer, my voice breaking. Fix what? Her eyes filled with tears. The debt. The inheritance. The deal I made years ago. I thought I could protect us. But I couldn't. My chest tightened. What deal? She hesitated, then whispered with someone powerful. Someone who promised me security. But it came with a price. I stared at her, disbelief turning into rage. You sold us out. You sold me out. Her sobs filled the room, but I couldn't feel sympathy. Not anymore. At 3:19 a.m., I picked up the statement again, scanning the transactions. One name stood out, a consulting firm I didn't recognize. Payments made regularly, large sums. I looked at her, my voice low. Who are they? She hesitated, then whispered. They're the ones helping me. The ones who know everything. The words cut deeper than any number on the page. Helping her. Against me. I slammed my fist against the table. You lied to me. Again. Even now, you're still lying. Her tears fell silently, but she didn't deny it. At 3:33 a.m., my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. This time it wasn't vague. It was specific. She told you part of it, but not all. Don't trust her. My blood ran cold. I looked at her, my voice shaking. Who's sending these messages? Who knows what you're hiding? She buried her face in her hands. I can't tell you. If I do, they'll come for both of us. I leaned closer, my voice breaking. They already have. The silence in the house was suffocating. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock. Every sound felt amplified, every shadow darker. At 3:47 a.m., I sat down across from her, my hands trembling. You admitted betrayal, but you're still lying. I can see it in your eyes. She looked up, her face hollow. I'm not lying. Not about this. I shook my head. You've lied so much, I don't know what's real anymore. Her lips trembled. I didn't want you to find out like this. I laughed bitterly. You keep saying that, but you knew I would. Eventually. You just hoped I wouldn't survive it. Her silence was louder than any confession. At 4:02 a.m., I picked up the phone again, scrolling through the messages. One thread stood out. A name I recognized. Someone close. Someone I trusted. I looked at her, my voice breaking. You've been working with him, haven't you? Her eyes widened. No, not him. I swear. But I didn't believe her. Not anymore. At 4:17 a.m., I realized the truth. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a conspiracy, and she was at the center of it. I stared at her, my hands trembling. You've destroyed everything. She looked up, her eyes empty. No, I've saved us. You just don't see it yet. At 4:31 a.m., my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a call. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A voice whispered on the other end. She admitted betrayal. But she lied again. Don't trust her. December 3rd is already decided. The line went dead. My blood ran cold. By 4:47 a.m., I sat alone in the study, the hidden bank statement glowing under the lamp. My mind raced. Every number was a clue, every transfer a piece of the puzzle. And then I saw it. An entry labeled retainer fee, paid to a detective agency. I froze. She hadn't just been hiding money. She'd hired someone to watch me. At 5:02 a.m., I confronted her again. You hired a detective. Why? Her face went pale. I had to. I needed proof. I needed leverage. My chest tightened. Proof of what? She hesitated, then whispered. Of you. The words cut deeper than any number on the page. Proof of me. I stared at her, disbelief turning into rage. You've been spying on me, watching me, recording me. Her tears fell silently, but she didn't deny it. At 5:17 a.m., I realized the truth. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd built a case against me. And the hidden bank statement wasn't just evidence of her lies. It was proof that my entire life had been rewritten without my knowledge. I whispered into the silence. You've destroyed everything. She looked up, her eyes hollow. No, I've saved us. You just don't see it yet. At 5:31 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Just one line. The detective has the evidence. You're already finished. My blood ran cold. It was 6:12 a.m. when the knock came. Sharp, precise, not the kind of knock you ignore. I hadn't slept. My head was pounding, my chest tight. The hidden bank statement still spread across the desk like a crime scene. I opened the door, and there he was, a man in a gray trench coat, eyes cold, holding a folder under his arm. Mr. Aziz? He asked. His voice was steady, professional. Yes, I said cautiously. I am Detective Chavis. We need to talk. The words hit me like a hammer. My wife had hired a detective, but now one was standing at my door, uninvited, holding something that looked heavier than truth. At 6:19 a.m., we sat in the living room. The detective placed the folder on the coffee table, his eyes scanning the room like he'd already memorized every detail. My wife was nowhere to be seen. Just me, the folder, and the silence. He opened it slowly. Photographs, documents, screenshots. My stomach twisted as I leaned forward. The first photo was of her, my wife, but not the woman I knew. Different clothes, different hair, a different name printed on the ID card she was holding. I froze. What is this? The detective's voice was calm. Your wife has been living a double life. Two identities. Two sets of accounts. Two stories. My chest tightened. You're lying. He slid another photo across the table. My wife, entering a bank under a different name. Another, signing papers with a signature that wasn't hers, or at least not the one I knew. At 6:33 a.m., I felt the room spin. Why are you showing me this? Because you're in danger, he said flatly. She's not just hiding money. She's hiding herself. And if you don't act soon, you'll lose everything. I leaned back, my hands trembling. How long? Years, he replied. She's been building this second life for years. Offshore accounts, property under false names. And now, she's preparing to disappear. December 3rd is the deadline. My blood ran cold. December 3rd again. At 6:47 a.m., I picked up one of the documents. A bank statement under her second identity. The numbers were staggering. Million, not thousands. Million. I whispered into the silence. She's been planning this all along. The detective nodded. And she's not alone. There's someone helping her. Someone powerful. Someone who knows how to erase people. My chest tightened. Erase. He leaned closer. Disappear. New identity. New life. And you? Left with nothing. At 7:02 a.m., my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. Just one line. Don't trust the detective. He's part of it. My blood ran cold. I looked at Harris, my voice shaking. Who's sending these messages? He didn't flinch. Someone who wants you confused. Someone who wants you paralyzed. Don't listen to them. But I couldn't shake the feeling. What if he was lying too? At 7:17 a.m., I confronted him. Why should I trust you? You show up uninvited with photos, documents, stories. How do I know you're not part of this? His eyes narrowed. Because I have proof. He slid a USB drive across the table. Everything you need is on here. Emails, contracts, photos. Her second life exposed. I stared at the drive, my hands trembling. And if I don't believe you, he leaned back. Then you'll lose everything. And she'll walk away free. At 7:33 a.m., I plugged the drive into my laptop. Dozens of files appeared. Emails between her and the law firm. Contracts signed under her second identity. Photos of her meeting with strangers in hotels. And then, one file that froze me completely. A video. I pressed play. The screen flickered. My wife, sitting in a hotel room, speaking quietly to someone off camera. He doesn't know. He thinks I'm still his wife. But after December 3rd, he won't matter anymore. My chest tightened. He won't matter anymore. At 7:47 a.m., I slammed the laptop shut, my heart pounding. I looked at Harris, my voice breaking. She admitted betrayal. But she lied again. She's planning to erase me. He nodded grimly. And now you know the truth. But I wasn't sure I did. At 8:02 a.m., my wife walked into the room. Her eyes widened when she saw Harris. What are you doing here? She demanded. He stood up calmly, telling him the truth. Her face went pale. You shouldn't have come. I looked at her, my voice shaking. Is it true? The second identity? The offshore accounts? The plan to disappear? Her silence was louder than any confession. At 8:17 a.m., she finally spoke. I did it for us. For survival. You don't understand. I laughed bitterly. Survival? By erasing me? By stealing everything? Her tears fell silently, but she didn't deny it. At 8:33 a.m., Harris stepped closer. She's lying again. She's not doing this for survival. She's doing it for herself. My wife's eyes flashed with anger. You don't know anything. He held up a folder. I know enough. The tension in the room was suffocating. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock. Every sound felt amplified, every shadow darker. At 8:47 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Just one line. The detective is lying. She's not the enemy. He is. My blood ran cold. I looked at Harris, then at my wife. Both staring at me, both waiting for me to choose. At 9:02 a.m., I realized the truth. I didn't know who to trust. My wife had admitted betrayal, but she was still lying. The detective had revealed her double identity, but the messages warned me he was part of it. I whispered into the silence, "I'm trapped." At 9:17 a.m., Harris leaned closer. "You have to decide. Trust me or trust her. But if you wait too long, December 3rd will decide for you." My chest tightened. December 3rd. The deadline. The end. At 9:33 a.m., I looked at my wife, my voice breaking. "Tell me the truth. One last time." Her lips trembled. "I can't." And in that silence, I realized everything I thought I knew was gone. At 9:47 a.m., the detective's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his face pale. "We need to move. Now." I stared at him, my heart pounding. "Why?" He looked up, his eyes cold. "Because they know you know, and they're coming." My blood ran cold. It was 10:04 a.m. when I realized the walls were closing in. The detective's folder lay open on the table, my wife's second identity staring back at me in black and white photographs. She sat across from me, pale and trembling, whispering half-truths that only deepened the wound. And my phone kept buzzing, messages from that unknown number, each one twisting the knife further. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I knew was that December 3rd was coming, and I had to choose. At 10:17 a.m., I stood up, pacing the living room. "You've lied to me for years," I said, my voice shaking. "You've stolen from me. You built a second life. And now you want me to believe you're doing this for us." Her tears fell silently. "I didn't want it to be like this," she whispered. I laughed bitterly. "You keep saying that, but it's like this. And now I have to decide. Do I fight for survival, or do I keep loving someone who's already destroyed me?" The silence was unbearable. At 10:33 a.m., the detective leaned forward. "You can't trust her. She's admitted betrayal, but she's still lying. If you choose her, you lose everything." My wife's eyes flashed with anger. "He's lying. He's part of it. If you trust him, you'll regret it." I looked at them both, my chest tight, my hands trembling. Two voices, two truths, two lies. At 10:47 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "Choose carefully. One path saves you. The other destroys you." My blood ran cold. At 11:02 a.m., I sat down, my head in my hands. Memories flooded back. Our wedding day, the laughter, the promises, and then the lies, the hidden bank statements, the offshore accounts. Love and betrayal tangled together until I couldn't tell them apart. I whispered into the silence, "I don't know who to trust." At 11:17 a.m., my wife reached across the table, her hand trembling. "Trust me," she said softly. "I can fix this. I can protect us." The detective shook his head. "She's manipulating you. If you choose her, you'll lose everything." At 11:33 a.m., I pull my hand back, my heart pounding. I can't keep loving someone who's already destroyed me. But I can't survive without knowing the truth. The tension in the room was suffocating. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock. Every sound felt amplified, every shadow darker. At 11:47 a.m., I made my choice. I stood up, my voice steady. "I choose survival." My wife's face crumbled. "You don't understand. If you walk away now, you'll regret it forever." The detective's eyes narrowed. "You did the right thing." But even as I said the words, doubt gnawed at me. What if she was telling the truth? What if survival meant losing the only person I'd ever loved? At 12:02 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "Survival has a price. Are you ready to pay it?" My blood ran cold. At 12:17 p.m., I realized the truth. Survival meant sacrifice, and love meant destruction. There was no middle ground. I whispered into the silence, "I've already lost everything." At 12:33 p.m., the detective leaned closer. "Not yet. December 3rd is coming, and that's when you'll see the final truth." My chest tightened. December 3rd. The deadline. The end. At 12:47 p.m., I looked at my wife one last time. Her eyes were hollow, her face pale. "You betrayed me," I said softly, "and I can't forgive you." Her tears fell silently. "Then you've chosen, and now you'll have to live with it." At 1:02 p.m., I walked out of the house, the hidden bank statement clutched in my hand. The air was cold, sharp against my skin. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't answer. "Not yet." I whispered to myself, December 3rd. That's when I'll know if I chose right. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Survival wasn't about living. It was about enduring. It was 8:03 a.m. on December 3rd when the verdict finally came down. The courtroom was silent, the air heavy with tension. My wife sat across from me, her face pale, her eyes hollow. The judge's words echoed like gunshots. Guilty of fraud. Guilty of concealment. Guilty of betrayal. I should have felt relief. Justice. Closure. But instead, I felt empty. At 8:17 a.m., I walked out of the courthouse, the winter air sharp against my skin. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed, but I kept moving. My hands trembled as I clutched the final bank statement, the one that had exposed everything, the one that had destroyed my marriage, my trust, my life. Weeks passed. Months. I tried to rebuild. I moved to another city, changed my number, started over. But the scars remained. Every time I saw a bank envelope, my chest tightened. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt the cold rush of fear. At 9:02 p.m. one evening, nearly 2 years later, I sat alone in my apartment. The city lights flickered outside, casting shadows across the room. My phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. "It's not over." My blood ran cold. At 9:17 p.m., I realized the truth. Betrayal doesn't end with a verdict. It lingers. It haunts. It rewrites the way you see the world. I whispered into the silence, "She's gone." But the lies remain. At 9:33 p.m., I thought about everything I'd lost. My marriage, my trust, my peace. And then I thought about what I had gained. Survival. Hard-won wisdom. The knowledge that love can destroy as much as it saves. At 9:47 p.m., I stood by the window, staring at the city below. The lights blurred, the noise faded. And I realized something I hadn't before. Blood doesn't always mean family. And family doesn't always mean safety. Some wounds never heal. Some scars never fade. And some doors, once you close them, should never be open again, even if someone's knocking.